What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Monday, August 8th. No, 7th. 2017. I'm getting excited because so many games come out on Tuesday, the 8th. Pure one, Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
How are you, sir?
I am fantastic.
Fantastic, you say?
Watched the Castlevania series on Netflix this weekend. Enjoyed it quite a bit.
Okay.
Inspired me to play Castlevania 3 for the first time in many a moon.
Oh, many a moon. Okay.
Oh, I never beat it. I don't think I've ever beat any of the Castlevania games.
Even Symphony of the Night?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Got really far. But
Okay,
never beat
good.
it.
I respect that.
But Castlevania 3, a lot of fun. A lot of fun playing that game.
Okay, good. Well, that's a good one. How was the series? How was
It was great. It was great. It ended prematurely. It was only 4 episodes. As soon as it was really getting good is when it just stopped. And I'm like, such a cliffhanger. But,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Hour-long episodes? What am I looking
No,
at here?
20-minute, 20-minute episodes. You
I
can
can get
bang
that,
this
no
thing
problem.
out quick. Yeah, it's cool. Really faithful to the series.
Okay.
As far as I know, at least. I'm sure people will say otherwise that are really in the know. But I thought they did a really good job of nailing the tone. And we've seen so many fan films and so many just random things of Castlevania, and it always misses the mark. I feel like this one did a really great job at it. My biggest criticism is it didn't use the Castlevania music at all.
Lame.
And it's dumb. Like that is such a bad decision. I hope that it's some stupid licensing thing.
Yeah.
Because that was a very bad call if they did that on purpose.
Okay. Well, pieces of housekeeping for you, Kind of Funny fans. Number one, over on patreon.com/kindoffunny. The latest Kind of Funny doodle is up for you to go see, early access. It'll be up on youtube.com/kindoffunny for everybody later. And then right after this, if you're watching this live on Twitch, we're doing a Twitch stream of Batman Season 2, Episode 1 with Troy Baker and Anthony Gruber. That's Batman and Joker from the series. If you're watching us later, it'll be up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames at a later date. Also, if you're a Patreon supporter, Troy's sticking around to do Game Over Reggae after that. So it's a big day of streaming content on Kind of Funny. But first and foremost, let me tell you that this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we jump into the nerdy video game news you need to know about. We get dirty with it. We run down all the top stories. We answer your questions. We give out your bad PSN names, and we have a ball. If you like that, you can watch us record it live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We don't look at the chat, though, because we want a polished podcast. We do, however, look at kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. This is where all the live folks can keep us honest, tell us what we're screwing up as we screw it up. At the end of the show, we set the record straight. If you want to watch later, it's up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and podcast services around the globe. Please, no matter where you get it, know that we love you and appreciate you. But
true.
Subscribe on the other platforms, rate on the other platforms, help a brother out. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news! There are 4 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen!
The first one this is the top story, the lead story. It's what I made the thumbnail about, so I know the show's titled about it. What I want to do is wade into Middle-earth Shadow of War's microtransactions. Get ready, put on your
real
boots.
upset about this one.
Yes and no, it's all over the map. Let's go. Over on the WB blog, it is reported about the Middle-earth Shadow of War microtransactions, and it reads the following. An important aspect of the Nemesis system now comes in forging, customizing, and leading your own army of unique orc followers against the fortresses of Mordor. There are different ways to do this, including dominating orcs by exploring the vast open world and encountering them as part of orc society, or players can acquire orcs and other items through the market, parentheses, in-game store. Through the market, players can purchase loot chests, war chests, XP boosts, and bundles, parentheses, accessed only with internet connection. Gold is a form of in-game currency awarded in small amounts at specific milestones and for participating in community challenges. It can also be purchased for real money through the PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, and by adding funds to your Steam wallet. Along with the Mirian, that's the in-game gold or whatever, because there's gold and then this Mirian stuff. Gold can be purchased. Gold can be used to purchase loot chests, war chests, boosts from the market. That's the nut of the thing here now.
Okay.
Well, what they're saying is, of course, they ran through everything you buy with it. These loot chests, these war chests, these boosts, XP boosts, get through the game quicker. The majority of them are just there. You're buying there. That's what you're doing. It's affecting your main character. Good on you. Everybody's happy, right? Not everybody, of course. Kotaku chimes in their report. They say, it's one thing when a $60 game offers microtransactions for cosmetics. It's quite another when the game wants you to pay to cut down on, quote unquote, some of the additional time that would have been spent winning more battles, tracking nemesis, completing quests, and assaulting fortresses. It'll be impossible to play Shadow of War without getting that nagging feeling that the game is full of padding that you should be paying to avoid. Interesting.
Yeah.
GameSpot editorializes in their article, microtransaction stores in AAA games is nothing new or surprising, as many games let players spend more money on extra content. Muffin Top X.
Oh my God.
In the GameStop Spot comment says, relax everybody, this is a single player game. Quote, everything a player can buy with gold can also be earned in the game over time for free, but gold gives players the option to acquire these items faster, end quote. People are welcome to pay more for a shorter game experience if they want to. This isn't my problem, and it shouldn't be your problem either. It's not like you weren't going to put 80 hours into this anyway. Then IGN chimes in today that there's a ranked online mode now. Social Conquest, parentheses, IGN says, as it is somewhat oxymoronically titled, will task players with choosing one of their captured nemesis fortresses, outfitting its defenses, appointing an orc overlord, and accompanying captains, then making it available for attack by online players. It's not a far cry from Metal Gear Solid 5's forward operating bases, essentially. Then we go back. I want to go all the way back to talking about the microtransactions, where GameSpot says... It goes again, they gave you the rundown here in the front. Loot chests, war chests, boost from the market.
Okay.
Loot chests, of course, Tim, are the ones that are just giving your main character in the game better loot, better gear, better stuff. XP, you're leveling that character up faster. War chests, however, GameSpot says, war chests provide orc followers of varying rarity to help forge a strong army. They can also contain training orders to level up and customize orc followers. The rest of the stuff is single player.
Okay.
So I've laid out a lot of information for you.
Yes.
Because when I got into my desk today and started building Kind of Funny Games Daily, I got in, put the little bar down, and I went on a roller coaster ride of emotions when it comes here. All right. When it's because Middle Earth, Shadow of War, microtransactions. Microtransactions, a dirty fucking word in video games. So immediately I'm like, it's gonna be bad. And then I read through it, I'm like, oh, XP for this guy, getting orc that way. Okay, it's a single player game. What do I care what you're doing? What do I care if you're getting through the game in 30 hours and I'm playing 60? Granted, I won't play 1 hour of this game because respect to the first one, just don't like Lord of the Rings, not my world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do I care if you're getting there faster, if you're doing something different? Is it a far cry from Marvel Heroes where I can use an XP boost and level up Spider-Man way quicker than if I just played through the entire game? No, whatever. However, this is where we get into the muddied waters of crossing the different stories, because I hadn't seen anybody connecting. The comments are all over connecting the stories, but the connective tissue between the IGN article talking about the ranked online mode and then this, and then what that means, of course, to the war chest. If I get a war chest, it provides orc followers of varying rarity to help forge a strong army. So the argument there would be, suddenly, to me, and I'm just getting this, I'm still on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
I get a war chest, I get a really rare orc in that, and then I go online and I say I want that orc defending my fortress. Mm-hmm. It's not pay to win by any stretch of the imagination, but it is pay to get in front of you if you didn't do that and you wanted to attack my base, right?
Yeah. I mean, the ethics of online ranked matches, right? When you look at all this stuff, it's hard to really come down on a side to this, because it reminds me of a conversation we had recently about trophies of would you pay someone to just get trophies for you?
Sure.
And why are you not okay with that, but you are okay with things like this? And I'm not saying you, I'm saying
I know,
in general. It reminds me of, and you said the story before, but back in the day when I was grinding in Final Fantasy X trying to get all legendary weapons, like the millionth time I'm going through these random encounters, like would I have paid $20 to not have to just sit there pressing X, destroying these fools because I'm so overpowered? Like, I don't know. And should that be an option? Should that not be an option? I'm with you where it's like, all right, you don't need to do this. It's totally not for you. Kotaku brings up an interesting thing of like, if the game is built around this, that there's obvious padding. Why is there padding? Why don't we just get rid of the padding?
Here's my, I was going to say, is it obvious padding? And I was going to use your example, but you would say the one you're tapping X in Final Fantasy, that was padding, right?
I mean, at that point, I was done with the game. Yeah. I was trying to 100% it, go the extra mile that I didn't need to.
Sure.
So it's a weird dynamic where it's like, no one needs to do this stuff. If you had to do this, if there was content in the game being locked behind it, that'd be one thing. This is more for the people that want to do it. Now, once the online ranked matches come into play, I guess for me, I still kind of throw up my arms and like, who cares? Yeah. Where it's like, all right, well, if everyone knows that that's the way that this game is going to be played, then don't do it. Don't partake in the online ranked matches if you think it's broken. You don't want to throw the money down to have the advantage. That's the way people are going to have advantages. There's no way really to police that unless I don't. There's no way. That's just how the game is built. So just don't partake in it if you aren't interested.
I'd like to turn the floor over to Drew. Drew wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD, just like you can, to be part of the show, and says, "What's up, Cool Greg and Nick?" All right, I'm sure the wrong names joke is old now, but I wanted to get one last one in. Greg and Tim, loot crates. The future of gaming or the online passes of this generation. I know these have been discussed before on Kind of Funny Games Daily, but over the weekend, Shadow of War, single-player only game, was revealed to need online access so players can enter the game's market. What's in the market? 2 different loot boxes that can be purchased with in-game or real-life currency to give player gear or allies. They stated that everything in the loot boxes can be earned by playing the game, but this has created some worry that the gameplay will slow to a grind as you get the best gear. Blah, 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 blah. Loot boxes are already in nearly every multiplayer game and are now taking over single-player games. Is this just part of gaming now, or in a couple of years will we be saying, remember when every other game had those slot machines you had to play to unlock stuff? What do you think? Loot boxes here to stay?
Yeah, I think they're here to stay. I think they're here to stay for a reason. They're working. I think that the companies are definitely making a lot of money off of these things, and I think that there is something inherently rewarding about booster packs.
Sure.
Opening like a pack of cards in real life.
Yeah.
It's just like you want to get that rare one. Whether you get the rare one, you want to get another one. If you don't get the rare one, you want to get another one to
get the rare
see if you get
one.
the next time. Like it's addicting. It's like gambling, right? Like people get addicted to this shit.
Sure.
So of course they're gonna put that little carrot on the end of the stick there for you to go through. And I feel like as the system gets refined over the years, we're going to get somewhere where people are a lot more happy with the system, and it's not going to be as annoying of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we see that with everything. Everyone does it different ways. There's some clear wrong answers, and there's a couple right answers, and then eventually it all homogenizes into whatever. And I feel like loot boxes have been doing that a bit more, where things are more cosmetic for the most part. In most games at this point when it comes to loot crates. They're not things that really affect the gameplay. There are exceptions to this, and this seems to be one of them. But I think about things like Pokemon Go, where you can buy, if you buy all the different lures and all that stuff, like you're going to have better shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, there's no way to police it. Once this is a function in the games, it's just the future we're going to have, and I feel like we're past that.
Yeah,
games are going to have this. Games are going to have DLC. Games are going to have patches. This is just the reality of video games in 2017.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think you're on the right track. I think it's going to just get refined to the point that there are no more annoyances with it. I think he brings up online passes. That of course those were terrible and stupid, and they faded away because they were a dumb way to handle the situation. I think that if a Shadow of War today could have been like, hey, we have loot crates, we have these different crates in there, and somehow kept out the microtransaction element, hey, you can pay real money for them.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been as big a dust up.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because that's the whole thing of it's interesting that this can be confusing on a level that confuses developers too. And I don't mean to dime anybody out, but I'm going to dime out one Anthony Gallegos when he was on the Gamescast here. And I got up and gave that giant rant about how many Spider-Man loot boxes I'd opened trying to get my Spider-Gwen outfit, right? And as soon as by the time that episode went live, which was like 3 days later, right? I discovered that there is a vendor selling it in there through Marvelous Essence. And so there was a workaround in that game for the problem I was already having, but I didn't know about it, and Anthony didn't know about it because he's probably working on a different aspect of the game or something. And so many people have tweeted me since then, and then that's the answer. And then the people who have tweeted, hey, I'm having the same problem. I was opening 20 boxes and didn't get Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Marvel Heroes have been great about, we understand that you can get it this other way and blah, blah, blah. Usually, if you've opened that many boxes, you should have that much essence already to go do it.
I mean, the closest analog I have to it is trading cards and collectible card games and stuff. And I obviously think that the system is really inspired by that. But I remember back in the Yu-Gi-Oh days when I'd buy just packs of cards and I didn't get the Regeki that I wanted, but I could go to the card store and buy it for $30 for just that one card. But you are paying a premium on it, right? Instead of the risk of the $4 booster packs or whatever the fuck it is. And I feel like this is just the video game equivalent of that. That's what we're starting to see now. And they are making it a bit more challenging, and they're not going to be upfront of like, yeah, you can just go buy the ones you want, because they want you to get hooked on the gambling experience.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing is it works. And for me, the whole thing strikes me a bit, and talking back to Shadow of War and microtransactions, strikes me a bit like that argument I always make about season passes, Where I think when season passes get announced, it's easy for everyone in the video game community to be like, that's stupid. Why would you pay that money? Blah, blah. And then you get to the audience that actually cares about what that game is and that season pass and doesn't. Now, this one is the opposite side of it. It seems where people who actually care about Shadow of War are upset about it.
Yeah.
And it is a confusing message. And I would hope, I don't even know if I would hope, because let's say, I didn't care much for forward operating bases in Metal Gear, right? I did it enough for the trophies I needed, and that was it. For this one, I don't know if I think this mode just got announced, so I don't think people are hanging their hats on it in terms of like, oh, I need that. And I don't know if it's going to be a huge problem like I'm talking about, that you're getting a rare orc and you're putting
Absolutely.
it over
I mean, I wonder who this actually negatively affects. Like, I wonder how many people are out there that are like bummed that they're not going that their social ranking or whatever social conquest ranking is going to be compromised by someone else spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think that that's such a small group, and maybe I'm wrong, but it just, the numbers will speak for themselves eventually, where I'm sure it's going to be worth it for WB to have this system.
The other big thing about it, right, is the fact, and it's interesting, another question I didn't put in here about Shadow of War that was coming out today was basically that he felt, the reader writing in felt that it was a double whammy against Shadow of War in the way that it's got a bad release date, it's coming out right in that fall rush, it's going to get crushed, it's not getting enough publicity, and then two, it's got these microtransactions that are pissing people off. When in reality, and I don't mean to be a business person about this, but in reality, this is a great way to monetize a smaller audience into actually probably keeping that game and maybe getting another one. Because the first Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of Mordor, was critically praised. I know it has an audience and stuff like that, but it did only speak to a certain group of people. Like, I was one of the people who was like, I played it and I like this, but it would have been cooler if it was the Batman Nemesis system. So I'm out. I don't really care about this universe. And I think when you get into something that is so niche, granted, a huge niche, people love Lord of the Rings. They love, Game of Thrones right now.
Do you know how well the game sold?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, it did well. I'm not at all saying it was a bomb or it was a Mirror's Edge or something like that. I'm just saying that you have a game that's not going to speak to everyone in the mainstream. So why not put it out there and have a different way to make a buck in there? And I know that sounds terrible, but it's a way to maybe get you a third game in the series if those microtransactions take off.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I think that that's the right way to look at it for this type of game and for this type of system, which at the end of the day isn't going to affect the single player. I think a big hullabaloo about this is the fact that, microtransactions are making their way into single player games.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to affect you. And that's the problem though, is it like the padding that's in there? Is that padding that they realize isn't fun and they're putting that behind paywalls to get you around? Because that sucks. But it doesn't sound like that's what this is. It sounds like it's the equivalent to what I'm talking about with Final Fantasy, where it's like, it gets repetitive over time.
100%.
You could just speed up the process.
At Judges Week when I played it, and I ran in and took down a base or whatever, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I could see where if it was my 14th base takedown and I'm getting more powerful as I go, where I'd be like, all right, let's just, I know how I'm going to take these guys out. I've met all these classes of people before.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not one of the audience members, so I don't know. Or not one of that game's audience members. And that's the interesting change.
Yep.
So, of course, kindafunny.com/KFGD. Let us know what you think of this. We'll read some of your responses tomorrow with Andrea. That's right, it's Andrea tomorrow. Put her in the questions. Number 2 on the Roper Report. Crash continues to dominate.
My dude.
I'm going to read to you, Tim, from the GameSpot story. Crash Bandicoot's Insane Trilogy is top of the UK charts for its third successive week with a 5th week in total, according to Sales Monitor Chart Track. The company says the remaster trilogy has now achieved, quote, the most weeks at number 1 for a PlayStation 4 exclusive title and the most weeks at number 1 for any title so far this year. The week ending August 5th sees Grand Theft Auto 5 rise 1 place to number 2 after it was revealed recently that the Rockstar open world game is the UK's best-selling physical title so far this year. And then I deleted some stuff that didn't matter, and then I go, it's not just in the UK that Crash Bandicoot is performing well. Sony revealed last week that the remaster trilogy was the best-selling title on PSN in the US and Europe last month, and publisher Activision stated the game has, quote, surpassed all expectations by a pretty wide margin.
Get hyped, son. The Bandicoot's back.
In your wildest dreams, did you expect this?
No, not at all, Greg. I mean, we talked about it for so long, literally for years.
Yeah.
About who's actually interested in this? Is it just a Tim Gettys fucking crazy thing? And I knew I wasn't alone. I fought for Crash and his popularity for so long. Even in our Let's Plays that we did of playing Crash, you were playing up character.
Sure.
But you're giving me so much shit being like, no one wants this. No one cares about this. And it's like, they do. They really do. I didn't expect this many people. Though. And I feel like it's resonating in a way where this is becoming a Twitch game. This is becoming a game people want to speedrun. Like casual people are trying to speedrun. The amount of people that are tweeting at me saying that they're platinuming, like just platinum 1, platinum 2, now platinum. I'm like, I'm blown away by how much this game is connecting with people, because it could have just missed the mark.
Yeah,
this
nobody cared.
Could have been a thing that happened and it was like, hey, you got what you wanted. It could have been a Mirror's Edge type situation, or a Pat-a-pon. That's different though. But like a Mirror's Edge type situation where it's like, there's this vocal group that's screaming and yelling for it, and then when it comes, they're not there to back it up. But no, man. The Bandicoot boys were there.
So I believe I was Andrea at the tail end of last week when I was talking about this with her, because Activision has said they're definitely looking at other IP and they're thinking about what they can do in this line going forward. Do you think it's more likely you'll get a Spyro remaster, that you'll get Crash Team Racing? Do you think you'll get a new Crash?
I mean, I tweeted one of my most popular tweets.
Okay, one of his most popular tweets this year.
We saved the Bandicoot. Now it's time to hashtag unleash the dragon. So I'm hoping that the dragon does get unleashed at some point.
What does Cisco have to do with any of this?
I hope a lot.
Okay.
I hope he gets a voice acting
He is Spyro? Okay.
That'd be great. No, seriously though, I think it was me that you were talking to about the Activision
Oh,
thing.
really? Sorry,
because I talked to you, it was off camera.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Because the president of Activision was saying that it's performing. They knew it was going to perform well. They did not expect it to perform nearly this well. Dreams. Yeah, the wildest dreams was brought up, and they're talking about how they're looking at it, and they're like, they said that there will be more revivals of beloved IP, and they said that it won't always necessarily be remaster. That there's other opportunities. So I think that we're going to get a lot from this potentially. I think that there's a big chance for a Spyro Trilogy remaster. I also kind of think that there's a chance we might just get Spyro 1 remaster. That is like a smaller side thing. Crash Team Racing is another huge
I'd
opportunity.
love Crash Team Racing.
I mean, that is the one that I want the most at this point, because I love Crash Team Racing.
I've never played.
It's
and
so
know how much
good.
I love car
it's
racing.
so good. And I think it's time. But the thing is, would they remaster it or would they make a new one? I'm not sure. I feel like it could work either way. Then the other option is just a sequel to Crash, like a proper Crash 4.
Yeah.
That excites me a lot, especially if this team's working on it, because it's obvious that they understand what makes Crash special, and they really nailed the essence of the way he feels and the level design and all that stuff.
It's fascinating because I would say that, like, okay, the remaster came out, it sold well, even, you know what I mean? Like, it's similar to like Sly. Sly comes out, has the collection, okay, great, and then there was Sly 4, and it was like, in Sly 4, it didn't set the world on fire. But neither did the collection, because that's what I keep comparing it to. I'm like, oh, well, you got your remaster, maybe stop there. But then it's like, well, no, because there's clearly this audience that cares so much about Crash, and now there's all these new people that are playing Crash for the first time. Why not get a new one that expands on all the ideas, modernizes it to the 2017 level of like, this isn't weird, or, like weird mechanics. I'm not running at the camera. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. There's a big X factor here that is still a mystery. And we might not ever know the actual details of it, but there's still the question of, will this game come out on other consoles? It was never explicitly, officially stated that it's PlayStation exclusive. They skirted around it a whole bunch of times, and PlayStation Ireland fucked up and said it was at some point. And there's like all this like weird talk, and I'm sure people are going to tweet at me and throw a whole bunch of like quotes at me that say
like last week, right, or 2 weeks ago, that UI designer put up a video that had Xbox buttons on it.
On Crash and all that. So it's like, it's interesting, and it doesn't say PlayStation exclusive on the box. Not that that's a sign of anything, because there's been other situations where that's happened. I wonder if the deal was something like, if it performs this well, then it's exclusive. If it doesn't, we don't know. I don't think that we'll ever know until something is officially announced. But I personally want it to come to Switch. I want it to come to Xbox. Let it sell more. Let's get this fucking franchise back. You know, and that'll be a great way. Just imagine how much more millions of copies it can sell across those two systems. So that's a big question. I don't know where that's going to come. PSX is coming up, and I feel like that would be a great place to announce.
We are working actively on a new
whatever
Crash.
It is, whether it's a new Crash, bringing back Spyro, or Crash Team Racing, or all three. What a damn time to be alive! And with Sonic Mania coming out next week, dude, like, if Sonic Mania and Crash, I would put in the same echelon of, if people are buying Crash, I think they're going to buy Sonic Mania, and that could be a great sign for fans of platformers like myself. That you tweeted out today that you think that 2017 is the best year for gaming. We got to make that a Gamescast topic officially. But I mean, damn, it really is a magical year for video games.
100%.
And I think it's a magical year for platformers specifically, with Crash already killing it, Sonic seeming to kill it, and Mario Odyssey at the end of the year. Not to mention the other, not perfect hits, but at least hits like Ukulele and things like that. Like, what a time to be alive.
It's a great fucking year for video games. Congratulations for being alive during it, ladies and gentlemen. Stick it out through December. Don't have a heart attack like me. Number 3, Skull and Bones to have a shared narrative approach when it comes to single player, i.e. there is no single player. This is a shout out to GameSpot.com. I know I've used them a couple times already. They were talking to the creative director on the game, Justin Farron. Quote, the narrative where people can broadcast or stream what they're doing, and it's a unique experience to that player, he said, and when he's talking about what this is going to be. So we wanted to take that approach. Like, how do you create a systemic world where every single player's experience is different, and also tie it into a world narrative where you meet historical pirates, historically inspired characters, and that you have a narrative where you develop a bond with your crew and interesting characters along the way. Taking out kingpins. All those things are part of our narrative, but we didn't want it to be separate, that could just be consumed and never look back on. Instead, this is no longer a quote, this is GameSpot now. Instead, Skull and Bones' story will be told over the course of many months and years. Ubisoft is increasingly focused on the games as service model, so it's no big surprise that Skull and Bones would take this approach as well. Back to a quote. We wanted to create a system that let us tell our narrative month after month, year after year, and then throw in story elements to it. So if you're a PvP player, you should still feel like you beat the campaign. If you're a PvE player, or like me, I plan on sailing with my daughter a lot, I want to be able to go through the story and become kingpins together, and be able to tell the same world narrative through the game worlds that we built. Through the game worlds that we built. It's different. There's not a lot of games that do this, but we really think that this is where people really want to experience narrative on a personal level, where they can effectively change the world. People always say, quote, it's a living, breathing world. Well, we really take that to heart. We want to create a world that actually reacts to the things that you do in it.
I got a hot take for you, Greg.
Give me a hot take on Skull and Bones.
No one's going to give a fuck about this game.
I agree.
Now, here's the thing. I could be extremely wrong about it. This could be a sleeper hit, and this could come back and just be the thing that everyone fucking loves.
Yep.
But I very highly doubt it. I don't get it. Everything they just said there, I'm like, this doesn't sound appealing to anybody. Right? Well, you see the gameplay trailer at E3, and you're like, all right, this isn't what we think we want.
Yeah.
Granted, they're making the game. They can tell us why it's good.
They got a vision, sure, go.
But this sounds like a bunch of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a cumbersome way of explaining what they're going for. Because I feel like if I was there and I'm trying to turn the ship around, no pun intended on this one, because I do feel like it's gotten away and nobody cares about it already, I would just be like, all right, we've gotten off track. It's the Division with boats. You can play through it and see the story and do these things, and you're getting kicked to mission, but there's other boats around you and other things are happening, but you can ignore them, but you should team up with other boats and have a pirate's booty. I don't know what the fuck they call a bunch of pirate ship going on. But it's like, it's just a weird game in general. And I say all this totally knowing that I'm a hypocrite.
I also feel like we're far out enough that's like we don't need to be hearing too much about this game.
Oh, 100%. But when they debuted it and we were all like, the trailer starts up and you're like, that's cool. And it's like, oh, wait, I'm the ship. I'm not a person on the ship. I'm like, oh, I just wanted more Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, right, I played a sixth of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. You know what I mean? Like, I should probably not be a hypocrite if I really want that game and go play that game again and go play deeper into that, which I enjoyed. But yeah, this is a cumbersome way, but it is interesting to see that, again, games as service pop up. Like, that's what Ubisoft is now. And not that that's good or that it's a bad thing, I should say, because they're obviously making Mario Cross Rabbids. That's different. But like you talk about the Division.
Big AAA titles.
Yeah, Rainbow Six even. You know what I mean? That they're in these things that are like living, breathing. Your community is what's making this game. For Honor, which is another one that honestly, we're talking about like, oh man, this game's going to do badly. I would have told you leading up that I didn't think For Honor had shops.
Exactly. Yeah. And sorry, that's the point that I was trying to make, and it got lost from me. But yeah, I would have said the exact same thing about For Honor, where I would have been like, hot take, no one's going to give a fuck about this.
Right.
And it has an audience. It is selling like hotcakes. Yeah. People are into it.
Well, it's so interesting.
Constant new updates that people are getting into.
It sold so crazy, then it fell off in terms of sales, and then they just did last week, like, here's our season, here's the date, and everybody's like, I'm back on board, dedicated servers. It's like, that's fucking cool that you listen to your community, you're able to come around. And
I mean, Ubi got something special with what they got going on. This whole games as service, they're nailing it. Like, they haven't fucked up yet. Anytime, even if there's been mistakes here or there,
sure,
they fix them over time, and there's an audience there. And we were talking earlier about the Shadow of War having to monetize that small audience. I feel like Ubi has that shit down pat.
Exactly. Speaking of that, final Roper Report story here is Rainbow Six Siege numbers. This is from the blog on Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six Siege has grown. Its original roster of 20 operators is now expanded to 30, and 16 globe-spanning maps currently serve as the battlegrounds for the ongoing fight between attackers and defenders. And now it has another number to celebrate. Rainbow Six Siege recently hit 20 million registered players, with more than 2.3 million players signing on every day. Quote, "Our community is growing, and so is our ambition to make Siege a shooter that is here to stay," end quote, said Nicholas, product director. Quote, "The next few weeks are very exciting as it marks the culmination of Operation Health and the release of our next season set in Hong Kong." This is again what you can do, right? How you can not rebound, I guess, but build on launch. Because when we were gearing up to launch, everybody was stoked about it, and then it kind of released, and it seemed to me like it faded away. Mm-hmm. And in reality, what happened is it went to people like Alfredo and streamers of that caliber, and it found its audience, and its audience played it like to fucking nobody's business.
Hunter fucking loves it.
And that was the thing, is you stumble into these things like, oh, like, there's a huge thing here, and there is an audience, and there is a community behind this game. And like what we're saying, that's what Ubisoft's great at. Mm-hmm. Skull and Bones must appeal to some Ubisoft audience we don't know about, or that we don't care about. Kindoffunny.com/KFGD if you want to write it and tell me about it. You assume that, but this shows the power of where we are. And we always talk about this, and we talk about it with the games that we get into that are weird little niche games that nobody else would pay attention to, but you pay attention to. So like, I know so much about Friday the 13th, like the Friday the 13th Reddit, and I'm all over that shit. You know what I mean? Where somebody else would be like, I saw the review on IGN, thought it sounded crap, and I thought it's dead.
Yeah.
It's a weird world we live in.
It is. God bless it.
2017. Mm-hmm. Tim.
Yes.
If I wanted to know what came to the Mom and Grop digital shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, Lawbreakers on PC. Woo. Lawbreakers on the PlayStation 4 tomorrow. Not Xbox One, right? Yeah, it's just, that was their announcement. PS4 and PC. So PS4 tomorrow with the rest of the updates and the big games. Tuesday's the big game day release, so there's not much else. So Lawbreakers, PC out today, but we got new dates for you. Light Tracer's a new PSN game coming in September. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is now confirmed for PlayStation 4 and Switch, but there's no date. Battlefield 1.
Vita.
Huh?
No Vita.
No Vita. We'll get to, there's a guy asking about Vita coming up in a little bit. Not about that game, but in general. We'll break some bad news to him. Battlefield 1 is bringing back specializations. And then the big one, Tim. Mm-hmm. Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wilds is coming November 7th, 2017.
I'm down for that.
Me
November
too.
7th, I feel like that was a little bit open. We didn't even talk about this in our every game we're going to play this year.
Well, it's because, it didn't have a date. We kind of slept on it. And it's funny because this weekend I almost tweeted about how excited I was to play more Horizon. Like, I just feel like getting back into that world and playing more Horizon.
The art looks awesome, too.
Right. Here's what the PlayStation blog is describing it as. Set in icy territories to the north, this new chapter in Aloy's journey adds a new area to explore, new mysteries to uncover, and new, highly lethal machines to take on. Then we kick it over to you, ladies and gentlemen, at kindoffunny.com/KFGD. You had questions about Horizon. Matt writes in and says, with the news of Horizon's DLC release date, has Horizon actually been a success commercially? Last report had it around 3.17 million copies sold. Is this good for the PlayStation 4 with 60 million users? What makes an exclusive successful sales-wise? Loaded question. What makes an exclusive successful sales-wise depends on the exclusive, the years of development, what's happening, if it is a numbered thing. You expect Uncharted 4 to sell more than Uncharted 2. Yeah. Things of that. What is the install base?
Not every game can be Crash Bandicoot.
Not every game can be Crash Bandicoot and Insane Trilogy. If I had to hazard a guess, Sony is incredibly happy with Horizon Zero Dawn. Number one, it's a brand new IP. So that is, and that intellectual property, I know we throw things around expecting everybody to have listened to us all 10 years. It's a brand new IP from Guerrilla. I think that anytime you launch a new game, the Wire sequel is so prevalent in our world. Sequels sell better than the original. Sequels sell. So you want to keep that branding around. The fact that Sony was like, all right, let's launch something brand new and have it sell, even if it is, you figure it's what, we'll say 3.5 million copies sold right now. They'd be thrilled with that and the fact that there's an attach rate for it, because what that means is people are going to talk about it up until Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or Horizon 1 Dawn. When they get there, that you'll have that same Uncharted 2 thing I always talk about where, oh, I missed the first one, but everybody talked it up so much, and now this one's bigger and better because of X, Y, and Z. I'll pick that up. Sony's happy because people have connected with this game on every front, where it's beautiful, it's fun, we love the story. People love Aloy.
Aloy is now a Sony. If there was a Sony Battle Royale 2, she'd be in it.
Exactly. She's recognized. She has that branding, and it's that thing where when we were gearing up for Horizon, I mean gearing up like it's been announced. I remember, Colin used to always bring up this article where one of the Sony guys, not one of the ones we know really well, was saying that they saw this as their next big franchise and they wanted all these different things and blah 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 blah. And then when we're at like PSX, where like they had the paid cosplayer of Aloy and the paid watcher walking around, you know what I mean, that they built. And it was like one of those things like, I remember looking at me like, damn, they are gambling. You know what I mean? Like this game isn't even out yet and you're seeding this stuff. And then it works out where the game hits. So now they have all this stuff and they take it out and you see Aloy cosplayers all over the place, with the watcher. I think they're incredibly happy with it. Of course, I'm sure they wanted 10 million. I'm sure, there's 60 million PS4s in the wild. They want them all sold to that. But
I mean, it's important to keep things in relation to each other. Like looking at the PS4's top selling exclusive games that we have official numbers for.
Sure.
Like, we don't have official numbers for Crash, so it's not on this. But Bloodborne, 2 million. Killzone Shadowfall, which was a launch title, 2.1 million.
Where are you pulling these numbers from?
This is from Wikipedia.
Just making sure.
Yeah, just the list of
keeping us honest.
Best-selling PlayStation 4 video games. And then Horizon Zero Dawn, 3.4. And then Uncharted 4 is the only thing above it at 8.7.
Yeah.
That is the fourth in this series. There was so much build up to that.
Exactly.
So
it's
much
Nate's
going on.
last adventure.
Exactly.
It's all these different things.
But still, that's the fact. 3.4 is so much higher than anything else on that list. This is a success for sure.
Yeah.
So going back to the question of what makes an exclusive successful sales wise, I mean, I feel like, and again, going back, it depends on how much resources went into it. But I think that even hitting 2 million would have been a success for this.
Sure.
So 3.4 is like, major success.
What I think's interesting, and I imagine the train's left the station, but just keep it in the back of your head in case it ever happens. It would be interesting to me if I'm sorry, I've forgotten the subtitle for the new one here. Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wilds. It would be interesting to me if they go back and make the Frozen Wilds standalone you can buy. It's DLC, it continues your adventure, it can read your save and do shit. But if you never bought Horizon Zero Dawn, you can get the Frozen Wilds and just play it.
So similar to Lost Legacy.
100% similar to Lost Legacy. I imagine that gets weird because you need to worry about what does that do to Lost Legacy. Lost Legacy is about to come out, and I assume set the bar really high in terms of it's a 10-hour standalone adventure. Frozen Wilds, who the hell knows how long it is, right? You jump in and do that. And actually, that's a question Brenton has. Okay. Brenton wrote into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, hello, Grandia. He's trying to combine all the names. With the announcement of Horizon Zero Dawn DLC dropping on November 7th for 20 bones, the question on my mind is, how do I manage expectations? What do you think we can expect in terms of scope? Is this adventure 5 hours or closer to 15? Is the map size 1/4 the original or more or less? Thank you for your thoughts. Smaller map for sure.
Definitely.
I think it's going to be closer to 5 hours. I mean, I would imagine it's a new area, so there's one main quest line
that might take 3 hours.
Yeah, I would say the
terms of content, you
seven main quests on it. Then you're gonna have new hunting grounds. You're gonna have new side missions. You're gonna have things like that.
I think that max you're getting about 7 hours out of this thing.
Yeah,
$20.
Yeah, that's great.
That sounds about right.
And not to mention, I'm just hungry to go back. I just think about that world and wanting to play it as Aloy and do all these different things. I'd just be interested to go back there and jump back in.
I just want Lost Legacy now, Greg.
I know.
We're
so
close.
It's so close.
Did you watch that video that came out?
I'm on blackout. I don't need to see anything.
Like
just
it was auto playing on Twitter, and I was just like, I saw a second of it, and I just scrolled past it. I want to look at this, but we're so close.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well.
Yeah, I'm sold. Don't worry about it. Let's jump into reader mail. Remember, you can be part of the show. kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like Stephen Osland did.
My dude.
Hi, Greg and Tim.
Hi.
Matterfall from Housemarque releases next week, and no one is talking about it. I haven't seen any hands-on previews, impressions, or even any real discussions. This game had stage presence at Sony events, but now seems to have just faded away. Is it because it's the same month of Uncharted, or is it part of Sony's possibly not giving as much of a push to indies anymore? Parentheses, not showing any at E3 being an example. Thanks. Love you guys in the show. Heart, Stephen Osland. I think it's a number of different things. I think having two Housemarque games so close together is perilous and doesn't do either of them justice. In terms of the first one getting out, I can picture its thing. It's right. No, not Alienation. Next Machina. Next Machina just came out.
Yeah.
And so Next Machina is a lot of fun to play. I mean, Housemarque's fucking awesome. Matterfall is going to be a lot of fun to play as well. But having two games out there that, again, I know this is a weird thing because I just said it, but new IPs, you know, I mean, they aren't sequels, and that's fine. I mean, that's not Housemarque style, but it is that thing where I think people kept getting them confused, and then having them just a few months apart's awkward. I think it is part of like what you're talking about, you know, why isn't Sony not promoting it? Yeah, Sony really doesn't do that much. I mean, the PlayStation blog has stuff up about this game. The PlayStation blog will talk about every indie. When I'm like, hey, this new game got announced and we don't have a release date, but it's there. It's from the PlayStation blog talking about it. But yeah, Sony's not going to go out and stump for this and do different things, which I do think is part of their marketing strategy. But again, they were never running for like real commercials for any Housemarque games during TV shows.
Yeah. I mean, even when it comes to hands-on previews, impressions and stuff, like those games tend to not be covered heavily by the IGNs and GameSpots of the world. There's more the, you know, if there's nothing really going on, then they'll talk about them just because that's just how the industry works.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is, I mean, I don't know if they're out there stumping for it. We haven't been contacted about do we want to do a Matterfall demo. That's one leg of the journey. But yeah, that's for a big site for anybody else. There's a million.
I'm just thinking about like being at IGN, like Resogun got covered as heavily because of Colin.
Sure.
You know, so it's like unless there's somebody that's like a big fan of those type of titles, they're probably going to go unnoticed or untalked about instead of just like the dates and the facts and the information. But in terms of like people being evangelists for it, like you're not going to see too much of that
until post-launch, right? That's the thing when you talk about indies and the way and I know that this is muddled because Housemarque is an independent studio, but they're working with Sony, and I think Matterfall is one of the published ones. I don't remember, but compared to like their other games, it is a thing of how do you get that? It seems like indie games in general get their following their push after the fact when everybody can play them, right? Like look at Dream Daddy. That game's everywhere right now because everyone can play it and everyone can talk about it and put up screenshots about it. Helpful. I'm gonna get you a good one here, Tim. All right,
give me a good one.
I'm in here fishing. I got a good one down here. Somebody do this one. Do over there. Come back here. Let's break some bad news to Steve. Steve writes in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, "Hello, Greg and Tim. Why aren't games like Sonic Mania and Mega Man Legacy Collections coming to Vita? They are perfect for the Vita. I would love to be earning trophies on the go from these games. I understand that the market is not as big as it is on PlayStation 4, but would it really be that much trouble to port it to the Vita? It's not like the Vita isn't powerful enough to run these games, and I'm sure that if they were to release them on Vita, they would sell moderately well, enough to make it viable to release them on the Vita at least. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. # keeping the Vita alive." Steve, I got bad news. The Vita is gone, man. It's sunsetting. Now, don't get me wrong. There's games I'm excited for it. I got that Undertale coming to it. My Vita is in my backpack right now, ready to play it at any time. You're not getting. Sega is not putting out a Vita game. Capcom is not putting out a Vita game on this level. Like you're saying, you know, they could run it. Probably.
They could. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 didn't come to Vita, like right? Because Capcom would already pulled away from
what
that.
He's saying. Like, why not both of them?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't one on it?
Oh, like collection. Yeah. And Sonic Mania could run on it, but Sonic Mania is one of it is that it's doing a bunch of different graphics and crazy shit. And how hard would it be to port? Not that hard, but optimizing is the issue of getting through and having to deal with the fact that the Vita processes and works on things differently than the PlayStation 4 does. It's not as easy as just clicking the port button and putting it over. There's so many little things that are going to go wrong. And so when you're dealing with Sonic Mania, a small team that's already got their game on every platform pretty much, you can't fuck around with that. And then Mega Man, again, we're back down to just dollars and cents. Capcom looks at the install there. They know what their games have sold before, and they know that it's just not worth it in terms of the profit margin. So you got to suck it up. But remember, through the power of remote play, every PlayStation 4 game is a Vita game. So get on in there and just have some really crappy back touch controls that everybody really fucking hates. Eric writes in and says, "Hey, Greg and Tim." Yeah. I mean, it's usually Tim on Monday, but I really can't remember who Greg said it was going to be on Monday. It's Tim. Andrea the rest of the week. And most importantly, no show Friday. Big old Kev Dog Coelho getting married. We're all going to Vegas for a bachelor party.
It's going to get nasty.
Not all of us are coming back, but we hope you understand. We got to go fucking party our balls off. Regardless, this question is for Greg. Greg, We are just over 2 weeks away from Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and I want to know what you think the trophy list will look like. Will we see Naughty Dog continue the positive trophy momentum they built up with Uncharted 4, or will this list be a steaming pile of dog poop? Thanks, love the new show. I tend to purposely miss live and listen to on the treadmill because I'm becoming a team fat quitter. It really helps me be distracted from the mind-numbing pain that is running. Eric, I feel you on that one. I feel you on that 100%, Eric. Great question. I'm looking forward to the trophy list for Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I worry that they might go back to their more traditional 50 kills with this, 50 kills with that. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, because even it was better with Uncharted 4, but it wasn't like good, radically better. I don't remember being impressed with them at all. There was that speedrun trophy that I fucking hated. I hope they don't do that shit again. So I don't know. I expect with Uncharted, it's a platinum I'm gonna get. I'm just ready to get it. Just get it to me and let's play the goddamn game. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be poop, but I don't think it's gonna be great.
I'm interested in that Sonic Mania trophy list. I keep checking.
There's gonna be speedruns all over the place for that one.
Man, I hope they're manageable though. I don't want them to be crazy.
I bet they're gonna be crazy.
I don't know, man.
Sonic fans are crazy people, and they want to make sure you understand that people are crazy. Alex writes in and says, with tomorrow's release of the season 2 of Telltale's Batman series, which if you're watching live, we're about to stream episode 1 on, I decided to give season 1 a go. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Caper Crusader, but it leaves me wanting to see Telltale tackle different franchises. I personally want a Scooby-Doo that tackles more mature themes, much in the way Riverdale took the Archie franchise to a more mature direction. What is your dream Telltale series?
Said it a million times. I'll say it again. Fast and Furious.
That would be a good one.
It'd be awesome.
That would probably, yeah. Mine's Superman, of course, because I feel like it's the easiest way to get a good Superman game. You want to tackle as Clark, you want to tackle as Superman. Do you want to save that person or try to save this person?
I like that.
Yeah, that way it takes out, I can't fly to space. Maybe you can't fly to space now, Superman. Shut up. There you go. KBW Wrestling writes in and says,
what's he say?
Hello, Greg and Tim. I want to bring back a segment with a little twist. So instead of today's forgotten PlayStation game, it's just a forgotten game in general. My forgotten game for today is Bully by Rockstar Games. I loved it so much I actually downloaded it again and got the platinum. And let me tell you, Greg, this was a sweet ass platinum. Bully had a lot of cool elements and ideas, and it was just a blast to play. What are your thoughts on Bully? Would you like a sequel? Seriously, Rockstar, where the fuck is Bully 2? P.S. Great fucking editing, Tim. The Kinda Funny Live 3 video was incredible.
Thank you.
You played Bully?
I totally missed the Bully.
That's crazy.
Train, yeah. I think there was just so many games coming out. That was a PS2 game, right?
Yeah.
Like a late era PS2 game.
It was a PS2 game. I forget when in the eras it was.
Yeah, no, I missed it. I did Manhunt, and I enjoyed Manhunt.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I was Rockstar'd out that era, especially with all like the GTAs being as amazing as they were. And then State of Emergency was kind of a...
Yeah, somebody was trying to tell me State of Emergency was good the other day. I was like, no, it wasn't, man. Don't get out of here.
But yeah, I just missed out on Bully.
Gotcha. I loved Bully. I had a lot of fun with Bully. The Bully 2 thing, I've never been down with because it's just like, they did it and it was good. And Bully 2, like, we're going to pick up 15 years, however long it's been, and like it's just gonna be the next day at school or something. Like, no, and I don't want to see that same thing. And it wasn't interesting. If anything, I'd like to see them. And I know that there's like you're talking about the PS2 classic of it. I wouldn't mind seeing just we did Bully again, different character, different but same idea, and did it with today's mechanics. Because that's always a problem of like, oh, this PS2 classic's out. I can't wait. Oh, fuck, I can't spin the camera.
Yeah.
This is like this, and this is.
I tried playing Spider-Man on PS1, the Neversoft one.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't hold up.
Rough, but man, the presentation of that game, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
good lord, the world did not deserve.
We hadn't earned it.
Spider-Man game.
We hadn't earned it at all. Final question of the day comes from X Reverse Flash X. He writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD just like you can and says, "Hi, Greg and Tim. Hellblade releases tomorrow on the PS4 and was just wondering if either of you played it and what your impressions are on it, so if you're allowed to talk about it yet. I'm having a tough time deciding on whether to play it or not, as it looks completely different from Enslaved, parentheses, which I really enjoyed, and it seems to be getting no coverage from anyone. Plus, August is jam-packed with games I want to play. Also, only 15 trophies. Come on! Thanks, guys. Reverse Flash.
I have not played it yet. Excited for it.
I have played some of Hellblade. I am embargoed on Hellblade. So can't talk about that one.
Gamescast this week.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about it tomorrow probably, I think. When it's release date. I mean, you know what I mean? I won't go into depth about it. I mean, I got tomorrow. We can save it for Gamescast if you want. But I'll have stuff to say there. I think that's why no one's talking about it. It's because everybody's got a muzzle on about it. And it was a game that got announced and looked cool and then kind of went away. And then here it is. And I don't know if there's ever a traditional preview cycle for that one. But Ninja Theory, back at it. Ninja Theory. Let's see what happens. Tim, it's time to squad up.
Squad up.
This is where one of you writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD with your username, what game you need help with. You tell me why you need it. We read it here. All the other kids who play that game, they hit you up. They become your friends. They go help you with the game. Everybody has a good time. Austin Barnes writes in. He needs help on the PlayStation 4. His name is Wind Dodger 93. That's WINDDODGER 93. Austin says, "Good morning, Greg and Andrea." Guessing she is on when you read this. She is not. "I'm in need of Rainbow Six Siege players on PlayStation 4 for casual and ranked. I'm a level 158. Gold 4 in ranked. And as most of the Rainbow Six Siege community knows, team killing is what fills the casual servers if you play with randoms. 1 minute you're about to kill 3 enemies with C4, and then you hear a sound of a 10-year-old on the mic with a shotgun killing you, and then leaving the game, or C4ing the hostages, etc., etc. So, to the kind of funny community, squad up with me? Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
P.S. It's Wind Dodger, not Wild Dogger or Wine Dodger. That's the sign of a bad PSN name. But it's Wind Dodger 93, all one word.
Keep dodging that win, bro.
Tim?
Yes.
Did you look at?
I did.
Kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. This is where the people watching live get to correct us, so we keep the record straight.
Mr. Storm 2K says online passes were not phased out due to customer demand. That was PR spin. Sony banned them. Game pubs rarely back off anti-consumer practices unless their hand is forced.
I didn't know that Sony banned them. That's interesting.
There's a link there too, so I trust him.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Matt of Doom says, according to VG charts, Shadow of Mordor has sold about 3 million copies. So, respectable.
And before anybody's like, you just said Horizon was a success with 3 million across all the platforms it came to.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that when there's a cross-platform release, you expect it to do demonstrably better than a PlayStation exclusive or exclusive anything.
A group, wait, who says this? Hackfox says, a group of ships sailing together is called a fleet.
That's true. Thank you. Good call. Good call.
Oh, but then K Shots corrects Matt of Doom and says, is this only for PlayStation 4? I believe it sold north of 5 million across all platforms. So there's some stuff
shenanigans.
Guerrilla Games, or Griff D-Pad says, Guerrilla Games has said on Twitter that the Frozen Wilds will require the base game to play.
I was saying, though, what if they back off it? I was saying keep that in the back of your head. Maybe they back off it.
That's all we were wrong about today.
Okay. Well, I wasn't wrong about the last thing. I was saying keep it in the back of your head. Maybe they back off it. That's what I'm saying. All right. New segment.
What?
It's called Fuck You, Greg Miller.
I like this one.
Goddamn Hayes writes in and says, Gregory Miller, I have a trophy bone to pick with you. I've been so over the moon that a developer asked you, the PlayStation King, Greg Miller, to consult on trophies. But why on earth did you tell them you like trophies for failing? Personally, I find these trophies to be some of the most annoying. In Darkest Dungeon this year, I spent hours cultivating stupid bronze trophies like lose like a hero to a maggot, lose a hero to a trap, etc. Oh, lose a hero to a maggot, lose a hero to a trap. Unfortunately, since I'm good at keeping my characters alive, I end up getting punished for being good. Who wants to lose to a boss in Patapon when the boss has less than 5% health? Greg, why did you make this trophy happen? Love the new show. P.S. I love Danny and Andrea. I haven't picked my favorite yet, but they say cream rises to the top. Because I call them the Irish cream.
Yeah, I get
it. You got it? It's gross. It's really gross. Now, again, I trophy consulted on the Patapon thing. And what that meant is they just had a phone call with me and they talked about what trophies do you like, what trophies do you not like.
They put them on mute.
Then they just walked away.
They're just on the other side. They're having a conference call like, okay, Greg's finally talking.
Fucking do it. No. So I never got to see the trophies ahead of time. However, the trophy for failing, and that's 5%, as I said with the 5%, I tried to get the 5% like 3 or 4 times in a row. I was like, all right, I might just have to make a new save when the bosses are lower level, and I'll just pop it out right there really quick. Pop it out, and then I went and played, and then I just got it naturally. I'm talking about trophies you get for failing that don't need you to go out of your way and waste a lot of your time. And the Patapon one's not that hard. Suck it up. You play all this Patapon, you should know. On the third thing, you'll do the dazed thing, then you know you're right about there. Just go. And then, of course, quit, have different saves. It's easy.
It's easy.
Overthinking it. Now, the fucking blacksmith game, that thing's a piece of shit. It needs to be thrown out the fucking window.
I've been saying that for years.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, August 7th, 2017. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can watch it a variety of ways. We record it live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, where we're about to stream Batman Season 2, Episode 1 with Troy and Anthony. That's Batman and Joker. Remember, if you want to watch it later, you can watch it on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, where we're also putting up that Batman Let's Play in a second. And of course, it's up as an audio podcast, wherever audio podcasts are given away for free. Wherever you get it, please subscribe, like, share, tell people you listen to it so more people come and listen to it. And then we have more people listening to it and the power gets stronger. And then everybody understands that they can't fuck with us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they see us on the street and they cross the street because like, oh, fuck, those guys got a lot of podcast followers. Get the hell out of the way. We'll be back tomorrow with Andrea Renee. But until then, it's been our pleasure to serve you.